The flight TR-219 vanished without a trace in the Arctic wilderness on December 24, 1991, amid one of the harshest storms of the decade. There were 150 souls aboard, passengers and crew alike, each with their own tale, all desperate to return home for Christmas. The final message was received from Captain Daniel Henderson at 11:15 p.m., a frantic attempt to contact air traffic controllers during the raging tempest. Severe turbulence, engine sputtering, altitude critical, immediate assistance required. Then the transmission was lost, leaving only silence and decades of painful uncertainty. 8 search aircraft and 4 icebreakers spent over 600 hours on a fruitless quest, and after a month of intense efforts without success, the rescue mission was abandoned. It seems that the mystery of TR-219 is doomed to remain one of many enigmas buried in the Arctic ice. January 2024. Edward Blackwell sat in his research facility in Anchorage, poring over satellite images spread across his desk. The thermometer outside read -28 degrees Celsius, yet the bitter Arctic chill seeped through even the thick walls of the lab. After 30 years of toil in the frozen north, he had witnessed many oddities, but these images quickened his pulse like nothing before. By chance, a military satellite had picked up a metallic object entombed deep in the ice. Dr. Blackwell burst into his office the young radar specialist, Beatrice Norton. The latest infrared photos, you must see this. Her hands trembled slightly as she laid out the freshly printed sheets. There's something peculiar here. Look at the heat patterns surrounding the object. And these tracks, they form an almost perfect grid around the crash site. Edward examined the data meticulously. The size and shape of the object matched that of the missing TR-219 precisely. Yet something else was amiss, a strange phenomenon concerning the ice that encased the plane. It was as if something had been traversing the same paths repeatedly for 30 years, etching a complex pattern deep within the frozen mass. Within a week, one of the most ambitious Arctic expeditions in recent memory had been set in motion. The team gathered was comprised of first-rate experts. John Murison, an engineer with 2 decades of experience in polar conditions. Catherine Shaw, a leading authority on wildlife survival in harsh climes. And a group of 30 technical specialists. Time was of the essence, as the advent of spring threatened to forever seal their 219's secret under tons of melting ice. A total of 84 tons of equipment were hauled across barren, frozen lands to the site of the wreck. 47 heavy-lift helicopters worked continuously to ferry life support modules, generators, drilling apparatus, and fuel supplies. In merely 18 hours, a proper field camp was erected, a genuine scientific outpost amid the frozen silence. It was Catherine Shaw who first noticed the odd behavior of the local wildlife. Every sign pointed to the presence of a large predator, yet the tracks did not match those of polar bears or wolves. She told the team, "These footprints, they belong to a lynx." "But that's preposterous," countered another. "Lynxes never grow so large up here, and surely they don't reach such proportions." At dawn on the 4th day, as the first rays of the sun tinted the ice with a rosy hue and visibility improved after the nightly snowstorm, they finally spotted them. 3 lynxes, unusually large for their kind, were observed watching the camp from a series of hills near the icy mounds. Their mothers and cubs appeared on the verge of emerging, their silvery white fur blending perfectly with the snow as if woven from the very air. Catherine whispered, "Unbelievable. They're magnificent," and observed their demeanor. They do not fear us, yet they show no sign of aggression. Work resumed under brutal conditions. The thermometer now read -45 degrees Celsius, and fierce winds lashed about like wounded beasts, hurling icy pellets that stung the exposed faces. 2 teams labored in shifts with specialized tools to melt away the encasing ice. Hour by hour, sensors recorded a slow but steady rise in temperature. Spring was arriving swiftly, threatening to convert the excavation site into a lake of slush. The first breakthrough came at a depth of 20 meters. The tail of the plane emerged from the ice, its metal faded by the passage of time, though the airline's worn logo remained discernible. Beatrice was the first to notice something amiss. The ice around the fuselage, it looks off, as if someone has been treading these paths for years. Every morning, nearly on cue, the lynx would appear. Their behavior defied explanation. The team methodically scanned the area around the excavation, marking treacherous sections of ice with deep scratches and deliberate signs that seemed to beckon attention to certain spots. That very evening, the first mishap occurred. A sudden gust of wind wrecked some of the main generator's components. The massive structure overturned, threatening to crush Beatrice. Amid the cascading snow, the largest lynx charged forward like a bolt of lightning, pushing the girl out of harm's way just before the generator crashed into the ice. "This is impossible," Beatrice later stammered, her voice trembling. "It saved me on purpose. Did you see its eyes? They held a true intelligence." And so, the work continued round the clock. The team installed powerful floodlights whose beams danced upon the icy walls, casting eerie shadows. The specialized equipment used to melt the ice operated at full throttle. 12 pumps ran incessantly to drain the meltwater, which, given the frigid temperatures, refroze almost immediately, forming a fresh layer of ice. John Murison led the technical side of the operation, devising a unique reinforcement system to prevent the collapse of the ice walls around the excavation shaft. In one meeting, he admitted, "We've never seen such icy formations before. These peculiar channels and cavities. It feels as though someone has been tunneling here for decades." A week later, the team reached the passenger cabin. What they discovered exceeded all expectations. Time seemed to have halted here, preserved by the Arctic chill. Coffee cups were frozen solid on the tables, and magazines and half-read books remained tucked in the seat pockets. In the corridor lay a doll, a little girl's toy clad in a pink dress, its plastic eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. Yet, the most astonishing find was the diary of flight attendant Sarah Parker, found in the pocket of a first-class seat. The pages recorded the final days of the survivors, penned in neat, diminutive script. December 25th, 1991. Christmas. Out of 150 souls, only 28 survived. We gathered at the front of the plane. The air was somehow warmer here, the entry read. Captain Henderson organized shifts and food distribution. "It's strange," he noted, "but we are not alone. We keep hearing sounds outside. They don't resemble wolves. There's something else watching us." December 27th, 1991. The temperature plummeted to minus 52 degrees Celsius. For perished during the night. We huddled together for warmth, and Jane, a girl from the 12th grade, kept asking about her mother. "I have no words for you," someone murmured. On December 28th, 1991, an unbelievable event unfolded. At the entrance of the plane, we discovered a fresh catch, a pair of Arctic hares, as if someone had deliberately left them for us. Captain Henderson insisted it was impossible, yet we ceased doubting the impossible. These creatures appeared each night with eyes that glowed in the darkness. They no longer frightened us. Instead, they guarded us. December 30th, 1991. The previous night had claimed 11 lives. Many suffered frostbite, and others simply did not awaken. Our fuel was nearly spent, and the temperature in the cabin was dropping perilously fast. Were it not for the wondrous animals that brought us food, we would all have perished by January 2nd, 1992. Only 12 of us remained. The cold was claiming us one by one, yet those marvelous beasts endured. That day, the lynx mother gathered her cubs. They glided over the snow like apparitions, showing us safe passage. When Jim tried a different route, we found his body in a crevasse. Now, we had no choice but to follow the lynx. By January 10th, 1992, only 5 of us were left. Food was nearly exhausted, but the lynx persisted in delivering prey. It was as if they understood our despair. Today, I saw the lynx mother sit by Maria for hours, warming her with her body as she lay dying. It surpassed all I thought I knew about wild creatures. By January 15th, 1992, I was the sole survivor. The others had vanished, yet these beings still remained. The lynx mother brought me sustenance, and her cubs kept vigil over my sleep. I no longer felt the sting of the cold. They taught me a vital lesson. No soul should perish alone in this endless white silence. I hear them out there, calling to me. The discovery of the diary evoked mixed feelings among the team. John Murison insisted that was the delirium of a dying man, though Catherine Shaw remained unconvinced. For 20 years, I had studied Arctic predators, and never had I witnessed behavior like this lynx. The work pressed on, yet each day grew warmer. The ice began to melt faster than our reinforcements could hold it. Cracks formed along the walls of the shaft. Edward Blackwell urged us to hasten our efforts, knowing that only a few days remained. Then, in mid-February, catastrophe struck. A sudden spike in temperature transformed the ice. A tremendous fissure tore through the excavation site, threatening to swallow the plane and everyone with it. The evacuation began in panic, and 3 team members became isolated from the main camp by the initial crack. "You will perish there," cried Beatrice as she fought her way through the blizzard. Then, the unthinkable occurred. The lynx emerged from the storm, moving with unerring certainty. The lynx mother led the way, her cubs closely following. They guided our stranded crew across an invisible bridge spanning the abyss, the only safe path that would not collapse under our weight. In the final week of February, the team made another astonishing discovery. In the plane's cargo hold, we found a container filled with scientific instruments. Inside lay the journal of a meteorologist who had been aboard Flight TR-219. His final entries described bizarre weather phenomena shortly before the crash. December 23, 1991, at 10:15 p.m., "Never have I witnessed aught like this," he wrote. The instruments recorded impossible values. Unexplainable auroral phenomena danced before his eyes, as if the Arctic itself wished to whisper a secret. A camera lay beside the journal. Astonishingly, the preserved film revealed but one image, a blurry picture of a massive lynx standing in the glow of the northern lights. On the back of the photograph, in trembling script, were the words, "They are the guardians of this place. They know more than we can fathom." By early March, it was clear that time was nearly spent. The spring melt was accelerating, and our excavation was a race against the clock. We toiled day and night in our bid to recover as many relics and pieces of information as possible. It seemed even the lynx sensed the approaching end. They appeared with increasing frequency, their behavior growing ever more urgent. "This defies all known science," confessed Catherine in her final interview at the dig site. "These lynxes are not merely unusually smart, they possess memory." In remembrance of these events, and of those souls we tried to rescue 30 years ago, on the final day of our excavation, the team prepared for the ultimate evacuation. The temperature had climbed to -5 degrees Celsius, and the ice was melting rapidly, turning the lower levels of the shaft into a lake. According to our engineers' calculations, the structure would become perilously unstable within 24 hours. Suddenly, Beatrice noticed something odd in the lynx's behavior. The lynx mother repeatedly tried to draw attention to one particular individual. While we were tracking the animals, we discovered a small chamber previously unnoticed, containing a sealed container filled with crew logs and personal belongings of the passengers. This find was the final gift from the wondrous guardians of the crash site. Analysis of the results continues to this day, yet one truth remains evident. The saga of Flight TR-219 has forever altered our understanding of nature and its secrets. As the last helicopter lifted off from the site, Edward Blackwell gazed downward. 3 silvery shapes stood at the edge of the precipice, their silhouettes stark against the snowy ground. The lynx had witnessed the departure of the people, just as 30 years ago, they had watched the last survivors of Flight TR-219. A modest memorial now marks the crash site. Its inscription reads simply, "Flight TR-219, December 24, 1991. Here, amidst the Arctic ice, we learned that mercy knows no boundaries between species. An eternal tribute to those who perished and to the wondrous creatures who safeguard their memory." Today, this site attracts intense scientific interest. Researchers from across the globe journey here to study the extraordinary behavior of the Arctic lynx. These marvelous beings persist, with rare exploratory missions reporting sightings. Like ghostly sentinels amid the icy mounds, they remain the steadfast guardians of this place, where nature once revealed its true face. Catherine Shaw later published a series of scholarly articles on the Lynx phenomenon of TR-219, sparking a revolution in our understanding of wild animal cognition. She wrote, "What we discovered beneath the ice transcends mere survival instinct. These creatures exhibited compassion and care, traits once thought solely human. They have shown us that even in the bleakest conditions, something extraordinary can flourish, a bond between species founded on pure mercy. And in those rare nights when the northern lights illuminate the boundless Arctic, one might still catch a glimpse of their silhouettes shimmering in the starry sky. Three devoted guardians, ever vigilant, preserving the memory of those who found their final resting place here and reminding us that true kindness knows no bounds."